The Tale of Ember and Vireon, a story of fire and light. Part 1. The Two Flames. Once upon a time, in a land of soaring mountains and endless green valleys, where rivers sparkled like crystal threads and the skies were brushed with magic, there lived two dragons born of the same flame, but forged from different hearts. The first was Vireon, a mighty dragon with scales as black as the midnight sky and eyes like burning coals. He breathed fire so hot it could melt stone, and his wings spread wide enough to cast shadows over entire villages. Vireon lived atop the Crimson Fong, a jagged mountain where no bird dared fly and no human dared tread. His name was whispered in fear, for wherever he flew, fields were scorched and silence followed. The second was Ember, his younger sibling. Ember's scales shimmered in gold and bronze, and her eyes glowed like twin suns at dusk. She was a dragon of warmth and wisdom, protector of the realm, and friend to the creatures of the land. She made her home in the heart of the Emerald Glade, a vast forest alive with enchantment and peace. Where Ember flew, crops grew fuller, rivers ran clearer, and songs filled the air. Though they were siblings, their hearts were divided by one cruel truth. Vireon was born with envy. In their youth, both dragons had played among the clouds, racing the wind and shaping fire into patterns in the sky. But the villagers loved Ember, not Vireon. Her gentleness, her laughter, and her healing flame were adored by all. Vireon, with his darker flame and brooding nature, was feared, and slowly, he came to despise his sister for it. "I am no less powerful," he growled one evening as they perched on twin peaks. "Why do they worship you and shun me?" Ember looked at her brother with sorrow. "Because you seek power to command, Vireon, not to protect. They sense it. Love is not given by force." Vireon's eyes flared. "Then I shall take what they deny me. If they fear me, then fear shall be my crown." And so began the long years of darkness. Vireon turned his fire on the villages, demanding gold and tribute. He scorched forests and stole livestock, building a mountain fortress of smoke and ruin. Ember, heartbroken, tried to reason with him, but each time she came, he mocked her kindness and dared her to fight. She would not. For years, Ember became the shield of the realm, flying from fire to fire, undoing what Vireon burned, whispering courage into the hearts of men. But she knew a time would come when she could no longer hold the line. That time came on the eve of the Crimson Eclipse, a celestial event that darkened the sky every 1,000 years, a time when dragon fire was at its strongest. Vireon chose that night to strike. With a roar that split the heavens, he flew across the realm, his fire burning redder than ever before. Towns fell, rivers boiled, and even the stars seemed to flicker in fear. But Ember rose to meet him, her golden flame lighting the dark sky like dawn. They met over the Vale of Kings, a sacred place where ancient dragons once rested. The air trembled as fire met fire, red and gold dancing like dueling spirits. The clash shook mountains and carved valleys. Creatures fled, trees bent. Time itself seemed to hold its breath. At last, with a cry of pain and love, Ember wrapped herself around her brother in midair, not to crush, but to contain. "You are not beyond redemption," she whispered. "I will not let you destroy what little hope remains." And then, in a burst of blinding light, both dragons vanished, swallowed by a storm of fire and wind, leaving only silence. The world wept. For 100 years, no dragon flew. Part 2. The Whispering Stone. A century passed. The Vale of Kings, once the sacred meeting place of dragonkind, lay quiet and overgrown. Vines crept over ancient stones, and trees whispered with wind rather than wings. But even in silence, stories endured. The tale of Ember and Vireon became legend, passed from one generation to the next, tales of the golden dragon who saved the realm, and the dark flame who vanished into the sky. Few believed dragons would ever return. But in the village of Winmere, nestled at the edge of the Emerald Glade, A young girl named Lyra dreamed of fire. She was no ordinary child. Her hair shimmered like copper in sunlight, and when she laughed, the birds seemed to sing with her. She could hear things others couldn't, the rustle of trees that spoke in ancient tongues, the hush of stones murmuring beneath her feet. The villagers called her gifted, though some whispered the word cursed in secret. On the eve of her 12th birthday, Lyra ventured deep into the glade, chasing a voice she'd heard in her dreams, a voice like wind through flames, soft and sad. It led her to a clearing hidden by time. At its center stood a single black stone, tall and smooth, etched with spirals and runes no scholar could read. It pulsed faintly with warmth, like a heartbeat. As Lyra touched it, a rush of memory and fire surged through her. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, the world fell away. She saw 2 dragons locked in the sky, one of fire, one of shadow. She saw mountains breaking, rivers roaring, and finally, the golden dragon Ember, vanishing into light. And then she heard it. "Find me. The world is not safe." Lyra stumbled back, breathless. The stone shimmered gold, then dimmed. She returned to Ember, but she could not forget the voice, nor the vision. Night after night, the whisper came again, clearer with each dream. Darkness returns, he wakes. In secret, she visited the stone each day, learning its whispers, tracing its runes. And slowly, the truth unfolded. Ember had not died, but slumbered, sealed in flame beneath the veil. She had locked herself in a prison of light to contain her brother's fury. But now, the seal was weakening. Vireon was stirring, and Ember could not hold him alone. Far across the realm, high in the desolate peaks of the Ashfong Mountains, storms gathered. Lightning danced over jagged cliffs, and the wind screamed with a voice that had long been silent. In a cavern wreathed in obsidian and frost, Vireon opened one eye. It glowed red. His body was trapped in stone, bound by ancient spells and the last of Ember's magic. But the crimson eclipse had left a scar in the sky, a crack in the veil between realms, and through it, Vireon's essence began to seep. His mind, once clouded with rage, had grown cold and sharp in his prison. He had learned patience, and he had not forgotten the humiliation of defeat. "She thought love would save me," he whispered, voice echoing like thunder. "But I have found another path." In the shadows of his cave, something moved. A figure cloaked in black and silver, human yet not. It bowed. "My lord," it rasped, "your servants await. The flames of old still burn, and your enemies have grown weak." Vireon smiled, his teeth jagged and gleaming like blades. "Then the time has come," he said. "Let the fire rise again." Back in Ember, Lyra's dreams turned darker. Forests burned, sky cracked, villages vanished in flame. She saw a city of glass crumble under shadowed wings. But always, she heard Ember's voice, gentle yet urgent. "You must awaken me. The heart of flame is the key." She didn't know what it meant, but she knew one thing. She couldn't do this alone. So, under moonlight, she crept from her home and began her journey. Her first stop was the old ruins of Highwarden, once the seat of the Dragon Watchers, those who kept peace between dragon and man. Now it lay in moss and ruin, but Lyra hoped something still remained. Through storms and wind, she traveled, guided by the whispers of the forest and a map of half-truths. Wolves watched her, owls followed, and sometimes, when she thought she would collapse, a warm breeze would lift her cloak or a soft flame would flicker from her fingertips, gifts she did not understand. In the heart of Highwarden, buried beneath the crumbled temple, she found it. A scroll sealed with golden wax, marked with a dragon's eye. Within it were 3 words, Ignis Vita Cordis. The fire is the life of the heart. It was a message and a riddle, and it meant Ember's heart still lived. As she climbed from the ruins, scroll in hand, a figure stepped from the shadows. He was tall, cloaked, with eyes like molten steel. "Give me the scroll," he said, voice like ice. "It belongs to my master." Lyra turned to run, but the man moved like smoke. A blade hissed from his sleeve. She raised her hands, and a burst of golden fire exploded from her palms, sending him flying. She gasped, staring at her hands. The flame didn't burn her. It danced around her fingers like sunlight. The man scrambled away, clutching his charred arm, his eyes wide in fear. You are marked by her," he spat. "This is not over, girl." And then he vanished into shadow. Lyra stood alone, heart pounding, scroll trembling in her grip. Ember was calling. Vireon was rising. And the fate of the realm would soon burn again.